The NASCAR AllStar Race may be moving to Texas Motor Speedway, and NASCAR might get a Circuit of the Americas race. As a Texan, I am freaking out right now. Like, my mind is about to explode, so you know what? Cue the music! I know we just made a video like 30 minutes ago with the Ross Chastain thing, but this thing is too big of a deal to just ignore, to push off to tomorrow. NASCAR has moved around some dates, and the Circuit of the Americas is going to be a NASCAR race. That's right. And the Texas Motor Speedway will host the All-Star Race. Now, I'm going to make an argument for Texas Motor Speedway. You guys hear Texas Motor Speedway, like, oh, it's terrible, worst race ever. Don't get me wrong. I love Texas Motor Speedway. I grew up going to those races. That is my sentimental favorite track. I grew up going to those races, man. I love that track. Yes, I will admit, undoing 1 and 2 and giving it less banking was a terrible decision. The racing has gone down so much since they've done that. The package definitely hasn't completely helped. It hasn't completely worsened it. So, But Texas Motor Speedway, being there is a thrill. And I think that this All-Star Race idea at Texas Motor Speedway could help tremendously for the racing. I really like the idea of moving the All-Star Race around. We saw it at Charlotte for so many years, and then we moved it to Bristol this year, and I enjoyed it personally. I thought it was a good race. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. It wasn't the greatest All-Star Race ever. It wasn't as chaotic as we were expecting, and that disappointed a lot of fans. So moving the All-Star Race around, in my opinion, is a great idea. I think we should move it around every year or two, I think, in my opinion. I don't think Texas should get it for more than 2 years. I don't think they should get it long term. I think that we should move the All-Star date around. We should move it to Texas, move it to Darlington. Heck, let's move it to Talladega once. Let's see what happens there. But I really like the idea of moving the All-Star Race around, and I like it at Texas because all the Texas races are 500 miles. That gives you time to adjust your car. It gives you time to do things. But if you make a 100-lap shootout or less at Texas Motor Speedway where you don't have time to adjust the car and it's for $1 million, I think that could ramp up the racing. That can make the intensity ramp up, and we could get a much better Texas race than we've got in the past. I'm not going to say it's going to be the greatest All-Star race, but it could be much improved to what we've seen at Texas in the past couple of years with the repave. So I think that's a good move. I also think it's a business move. Eddie Gossage does not want to lose his dates. He has 2 dates, and one of those dates is going to be given up to Circuit of the Americas, and he said in order for that to happen, we want the All-Star Race. And I'm sure NASCAR said, we'll go talk to Circuit of the Americas down in Austin, and if that gets done, we will give you the All-Star Race. And I'm sure that's why that happened. But yeah, I don't know which date it is going to be in. I do not have the access to the Athletic. It was reported by Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck at The Athletic. I don't have access to that. I don't pay for it. I'm just going to be honest. I don't have the freaking $5 a month or whatever to drop on it. So, yeah, but this is some major news, obviously, with the All-Star date getting moved to Texas. I just talked about that a little bit. I think it's good for Texas Motor Speedway. I love Texas Motor Speedway, but I saw them losing a date. I really did. Whether it be to a track that currently has 1 date or whether it be to a new track, I saw them losing a date. I didn't think they'd keep it. But as for which date, we're going to talk about it, and one of the potential possibilities might result in the greatest motorsports weekend of all time. You may think I'm kidding. I'm going to say it now. I don't like making bold statements, but if the Texas date in the fall, the playoff race gets moved to Circuit of the Americas at the same time as the F1 race, that might be the single-handed greatest weekend in motorsports ever. Ever. Just picture this. You got Formula One, probably the most known motorsport on the planet, and NASCAR, one of the biggest motorsports in the United States, and Texas, one of the biggest states in the country with one of the biggest populations outside of Austin, the state's capital, at a new track, the Circuit of the Americas. And you have worldwide known drivers, Lewis Hamilton. Who else? I can name F1 drivers. I don't know how well known they are. Sebastian Vettel. And then on the NASCAR side, what if Jimmy Johnson came back? What if Jeff Gordon came back? What if Tony Stewart came back? I personally don't see Gordon coming back. But I think Tony Stewart, remember, he tested at the Circuit of the Americas last year, and I don't remember what he said, but he didn't say it sucked. So I'm sure they had talks with him. How does the track drive? What's it like in a stock car? What can we do? What kind of circuit can we run? The Circuit of the Americas, the F1 Grand Prix is 3.426 mile road course. You've obviously got that long straight. You go uphill, very strong uphill, hard left-hander. You go through some loop-de-doos, some S's. Then you get a couple more hard turns, and you have this long back stretch. Then you go through some more weaves. Then you got this long kind of right-hander. Then you go left. Then you're back at the start-finish line. That was a very rough description of it, but I don't know if they'd run a different course, if they'd run the same F1 course, but I'm excited for it. As I said, if they were to, I really don't know how it would work logistically. I don't know what ESPN, NBC Sports, how they would agree on in terms for the practices on TV, for the qualifying on TV. I understand that F1 has a longer weekend. They have multiple qualifying sessions. I understand that NASCAR is thinking about condensing their weekend to cut costs, getting rid of some practices, even qualifying at some tracks. But for a new track, I'm going to guess that they're going to say, we're going to have a practice, we're going to have a qualifying. So trying to figure that out. And then also fans. How are we going to get, assuming the pandemic's done, how are we going to get F1 fans and NASCAR fans to the track? Are we going to have both races on Sunday? How are we going to set this up? Are we going to give some type of ticket bundle where you can buy a certain price and you can go to the NASCAR and the F1 race? How will the post-race be handled? How will cleaning up the track be handled? I don't know if COTA has lights, but could we make one of them a night race? I don't know how that would work, but let's say they were to say, let's do it. Let's do a F1 NASCAR doubleheader. I think that could be one of the biggest motorsports weekends in history. I may be confused. I may be lost. I may sound crazy, but I think that would be a really big deal. And what if you had some crossover? I don't think that NASCAR drivers could go to F1. I think it's a little bit of a complicated process from what I picked up on. But what if, Lewis Hamilton said, I want to drive a stock car. I want to see how this thing works out. And he goes to a part-time car. He goes to a third Chip Ganassi car or something. He goes to an affiliate of Stewart-Haas Racing. Remember, Gene Haas is an owner in F1, so he might open a seat at one of his affiliate teams like Go Fast Racing. They might open up a second team just for an F1 driver. What if one of the Haas drivers, Magnussen, Grosjean, goes to that car? I'm speculating so much. I'm just throwing so many ideas out there just to pump you up, just to get you so excited. I really have no idea what's going to happen. And if it's the March date, that's great. Apparently, Circuit of the Americas, they took a big hit losing the F1 race this year due to the pandemic, and it's hurt them. And they get the Circuit of the Americas F1 American Grand Prix back next year, which is a big deal. But to get a NASCAR race, a first-time NASCAR race there's going to be more fans than there would usually be. So ticket sales are going to be very high. Obviously, you're going to get revenue for the area. Austin is a big city. Local businesses are going to get a lot of NASCAR fans in town, so I think that's going to be a big deal for Austin as well. But this is a freaking humongous bomb that was dropped by the Athletic from Gluck and Bianchi that, I really don't know how to express my excitement. I'm from Texas originally. I'm currently at college in Alabama, but dude, if I'm at home, I'm going to try to make it to the Texas AllStar Race, and it's a 4 or 5 hour drive from where I'm from to Austin, so might try to go to the Circuit of the Americas race too, but dude, this is a big deal. This is a really big deal. If the Circuit of the Americas race is indeed in the fall with the F1 race, it'll be interesting to see how that gets brought up, how it would work logistically, if it would even work. I don't know if it would work. I really don't know if it would work. All this stuff I just said for the past 10 minutes could be complete garbage and nonsense and may not even work. But even if NASCAR gets a date with the Circuit of the Americas, I think that's a big deal. We've been wanting more tracks. We've been wanting more short tracks, more road courses. This is a road course. This is a new road course that was built less than 10 years ago. And for NASCAR to be on it, that would be a really big deal. Just for Austin, for Texas. We've been wanting to get rid of a Texas date, and I think this is a great addition to NASCAR. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be great. I have high hopes for it. It should be an exciting race. It should be a fun race. I'm really looking forward to it. I really don't know what else to say. As for the Texas AllStar Race, I told you at the beginning of the video, yeah, people are going to be upset about it. It's Texas Motor Speedway. They haven't had great racing over the past few years. I personally enjoyed the summer race. I was there, so that might have been a part of it, but I thought it was better racing than what we've had in 2018 and 2019. So I thought that was a good race, but I really do think that shortening the race at Texas Motor Speedway to 100 laps or less could help out tremendously in fighting for $1 million in a non-points paying race. There's going to be some more aggressive driving, more chaos potentially. I think that could help out a ton at Texas Motor Speedway. Plus, for an all-star race event, I think that will get them some more ticket sales, and losing a date will put some more ticket sales into their whatever date they keep. But I would not be surprised if Gossage tried to push for keeping the fall race, the playoff race, the bigger event. The spring race is a big deal, don't get me wrong. I know Texas has one of the biggest purses in NASCAR, so it's going to be an expensive race win for whoever wins that race. So it's still going to be a big deal to win at Texas, but to move one of the races to Circuit of the Americas, that's the biggest story, I would say. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this. I really do think that this Texas All-Star Race, as I said, I don't think an All-Star Race should stay to place for more than 2 years. I think we need to start normalizing rotating it. We have 20-plus tracks on the NASCAR circuit. We can start rotating it. We can start moving things around on the schedule. We've already done Charlotte, obviously. We've moved it to Bristol now. Now we're moving it to Texas, and I think we could do more tracks, more different types of tracks, different times of the year, maybe even for the All-Star Race. Darlington, as I said. Phoenix, maybe, if Phoenix ever decides they move the championship again. We could do the Auto Club short track in the future. We could do Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Kansas, Homestead, Miami, Daytona, Talladega. I think we should start rotating the All-Star Race. I think that's a really good idea for NASCAR. That's a really good idea. I think the tracks are going to love that, knowing that in the future they have a guaranteed date at the All-Star Race. That's going to be a big deal for those tracks. And then once again, Circuit of the Americas, I am thrilled for that, beyond thrilled. The attention to F1, obviously the F1 series only goes to the United States once, so that race is a big deal. And I think for this first NASCAR race at the Circuit of the Americas, it would be a big deal. We see a lot of celebrities from Austin show up. We see Matthew McConaughey at the F1 races. I think that would be huge if Matthew McConaughey was at a NASCAR race, whether he's waving the green flag, driving the pace car, saying, "Driver, start your engines." I think that would be a big deal. Obviously, at the F1 races, the University of Texas is in Austin. You see the Longhorn Band show up to the race. Even the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders go to the race. I don't know why they go that far, but they try to make it a big event. And I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to make this a huge event for NASCAR for the first race at least. But I'm really looking forward to it. If this is true, if this is in fact a thing, NASCAR to Circuit of the Americas, man. Oh my gosh, just the thought of that blows my mind. And the thought of a potential NASCAR F1 doubleheader, I don't know if that's a thing, like if that could work logistically, but that would be a grand old time, let me tell you. Whether you're in the stands, in the pits, or whatever. But man, I hope this is true. Texas All-Star Race, I'm thrilled for. I think a shorter race could make it better. I think it's a good thing Texas is losing a date, to be honest. I love Texas Motor Speedway, but I think one race there is enough, and it would make it much more significant to win there, to be there at a race. And then Circuit of the Americas picking up a date, that's a big deal. We've wanted more short tracks. We've wanted more road courses. We've had Circuit of the Americas here for almost 10 years, and it's about time NASCAR says, hey, let's give it a shot. Obviously, if it works, it's great success. NASCAR's going to get a bunch of hugs and kisses from fans. If it fails, they'll say, well, we did what you told us and it didn't go too well. We'll try somewhere else. But this is a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. So I'm really happy. I'm really excited, man, as you can tell. As I said, I'm from Texas, so to see Texas get another track, another NASCAR track is a big deal to me. Circuit of the Americas, I've played a video game at Circuit of the Americas, you know, on the phone or whatever. So it looks like a fun track. You got different types of turns. You got different types of speeds at the track. So I'm pumped. I really don't know what else to say. I'm so excited. I'm thrilled. This is a long video. I thought I had to talk about it as much as I could. Express that Texan pride, if you will. Just that's such a big deal. It's humongous. It's big. So hopefully we do get it. Hopefully this is confirmed. Apparently the 2021 schedule is coming out soon. So if once this is confirmed, I'm gonna panic. I'm gonna freak out. And if it's a possible date that I can attend, I'm gonna get tickets as soon as possible. But man, I'm thrilled. COTA, Texas AllStar Race. I really don't know what else to say. There's nothing else I can really say right now other than I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I've taken this video too long. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of the day. And once again, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to share with your NASCAR friends that NASCAR is going to COTA.